Square, circle, rants.
Oh my God.
Hey guys, Mr. Awesome RC Gade here. And what a wrestling week, and we're not even over with it yet. I mean, my God, I believe we started out the week with the not the Hall of Fame. We started out with Raw, but Hall of Fame, NXT Takeover, Stand and Deliver, Part 1. Still, myself, haven't watched Part 2 yet. I'm catching up, guys. I'm trying. There's a lot of wrestling this week. We still got more to go. We got, as of right now, tonight, we have SmackDown. Tomorrow, of course, we have Wrestlemania Part 1, and of course Part 2 coming Sunday. Heck, there's been a lot of good moments, a lot of good matches thus far in the WrestleMania week. However, even though everything's going so good, doesn't mean I don't have stuff to complain about. Complain, rant, bitch, whatever you want to call it. I got some headlines here that, well, I'm going to rant about. First, foremost, this is just funny. The Young Bucks threatened to delete Twitter again. Now, my automatic response to this was, no, just don't care. People are saying, well, they're kayfabing, it goes with the storyline. Either way, why should we give a damn? I mean, unless you're a huge, mega, Young Bucks fan, which I'm a fan of theirs. I am enjoying the story that they're going through against, or are they with Kenny Omega? Obviously, we found out this, if you've been watching, we found out they've aligned themselves again with Omega. And of course, they made the announcement later, which means it has to do, this is towards the storyline that, hey, we made our decision, don't criticize us, blah, blah, blah. But even then, why is this in storyline? I mean, it is a modern age. We're all on social media. Most of us are anyway. But you're going to get flack for the story. Why? Hey, you criticize. We're going to cut Twitter off. Okay. Bye-bye. I mean, I can kind of understand. I've had, how do I put this, drunken nights that I was so angry at what was going on in the world of wrestling that I made some Twitter posts, comments, that I would never, ever watch this again if things don't change. I doubt this is the case. Again, this is towards the storyline, but also, again, who the hell cares whether they're on Twitter or not? Just make the story good. Give us some good matches. That's all we're really going to give a shit about in the end. So moving on. It being WrestleMania week, and we are so close to WrestleMania. I'm sure, well, they've played it on the programs, and I'm also sure you've seen it all over the internet. Over in London, they've put big old posters or big old visuals of WrestleMania with Sky Sports and the like, the big main attractions, Lashley versus McIntyre, Reigns, defending in a triple threat. Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. And that is what I want to talk about because behind Sasha and Bianca, I'm sure you've seen it, they kind of made it in the distance. You see The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, the, epic photo shot from the past of them two, that they're trying to compare that to Sasha and Bianca. Now, don't get me wrong, very talented women. Sasha, multi-time champion. Bianca, her first shot at the SmackDown Women's Championship. She was the Royal Rumble winner this year. She's the underdog. But what the heck does that have to do with Stone Cold and The Rock? Their build to this match, or lack thereof, because one of those things WWE does is they either build it too quick or just really don't give a damn about the build-up. And this is the case. They are, I know this for fact, well, maybe not for fact, we don't know 100% what's going to happen, but we do know is that Sasha and Bianca Belair are going to put on one hell of a show. Win or lose, it's going to be a good night. But why the comparison to The Rock and Stone Cold? They have nothing in common when it comes to build or people. I mean, is Bianca Belair going to come out and do the Steve Austin salute? I like to do it, but I'm not a part of WrestleMania. Anywho, let's keep this bitch train going and talk about actually I want to talk about a quote from Corey Graves. Now, I'm not upset about what he said, but after reading it made me realize something. Let's just talk about it. Corey Graves has said that he is going to make a prediction. He predicts at the end of WrestleMania weekend, WWE has a new megastar that they didn't realize they were sitting on. Well, I hope so, because they're sitting on so many superstars. The people who follow the podcast or are part of our Squared Circle Rant Facebook page know that we've been complaining about this, and we're going to continue to complain until they do something about it. But WWE is sitting on so many mega talents. And yes, that's hard to see when none of them have barely been wrestling. Like I brought up before, Tucker Knight. Now, I know, not a huge megastar. He was a mid-carder at best with Otis. But we don't know unless you try. I mean, after the split with old Otis, he had one, maybe two matches and an appearance in the 24/7 championship. But to say that we're just going to have one megastar, they should pay attention to all of their stars. I mean, to me, that was one of the greatest things about the Attitude Era, aside from the blood, the boobs, the beer, was everyone was involved. And if you didn't make it to TV, then you weren't ready yet. But I know, we all know, there's a lot of people sitting in the back, in the locker room, that heck, they would love to be on WrestleMania, but they'd be glad just to make it on Raw or SmackDown. And yes, we could also say, well, then start watching Main Event or Superstars. Who the hell watches that? Hell, I barely watch 205 Live. And there's a lot of great stars there. But to say that they're sitting on just one megastar is what irks me. Am I hopeful for who's Corey predicts is going to get this spot? Very. Someone who deserves it. Actually, they all deserve it, but yes, I am hopeful that at least one guy is going to push through. But God, Vince, wake up. You have a ton of talent. You had even more, but you decided to fire them, and now you do nothing with the rest. And look at the example of Eric Young. He's out on Impact. Yes, Impact, and even Eric has admitted, not the biggest show out there. But look what he's doing. You had that. You had a guy that was willing to do anything. And he did. But when it came to the main event shows, or the main shows, excuse me, nothing for him. Which is what you're doing with the rest of your people. Okay. But I can't wait to see if Corey Graves' prediction is true and who it's going to be. That it in itself is going to be good. Speaking of announcements, apparently I'm bad at segues. Welcome to the first video. Hardcore Justice tomorrow. I forgot where to find that, so hard to plug it. I'm sure you'll know where to go, pay-per-view or buy their app. Sometimes I feel like buying the app, sometimes not so much. But Hardcore Justice, ran by Tommy Dreamer. It is, I will admit, through the weeks it's been kind of funny, him, the way he's portrayed himself as the runner of the show, making these matches just off the fly. We know about every match is going to be brutal. Hardcore-esque. We're, of course, going to the days of ECW in a sense. But, man. As much as I love Tommy Dreamer, thank you again, Tommy, for the cameo. Much as I love the prospect of Hardcore Justice, I loved it when it first came out. I haven't seen a whole lot of it. I've been in and out of Impact. This match in particular, oh my God, it hurt my brain a little. They're going to have the first ever hardcore blindfold match. Why? I mean, come on. In my opinion, the first ever blindfold match that I've seen. I can't say what the first one ever was. That's for whenever Devin or Douglas and I can get together. He's better at retaining that knowledge. But the first one I ever saw, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick Martel. And it was fun when I was a kid. It was novelty. It was entertaining. But it's one of those things, then when you get older, you realize how bad it really was. And then people kept trying to do it, and you're like, oh, come on. No. Just no. No. And I mean, I can't support bringing it back. They're trying, to give it the hook. We're hardcore blindfold match. But no. I mean, come on. Impact, I've been in and out of watching you. I will admit, I've gave up on you. I'm back. I'm trying, and you're trying, but you're better than this. Come on. I mean, it could be fun, but it's not going to steal the show. Definitely have a beer. And then drink to all the times things go wrong. Now with WrestleMania, I will say one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is having a crowd there. NXT, in my opinion, has done this perfectly. Yes, I'm biased. I love NXT. AEW, I believe, started it, or they at least let fans in first. But I like the look of NXT with the fans and with the Thunderdome-esque, or the people on the screens. The weird thing is that they still put in the crowd noise, and it doesn't get me as much. Like we all have. We've gotten used to it on Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live. I mean, all of it. We've gotten used to it, and I'm sure it benefits the wrestlers. They get something a little weird. Now, what I didn't like them using the crowd noise was at this year's Hall of Fame, which they compacted to, last year's, this year's, they compacted it together, and it was good. I love the Hall of Fame. I felt they rushed it, but I can understand why. But I also felt that using the crowd noise at the WWE Hall of Fame was, out of place and a tad disrespectful. I mean, granted, they couldn't have a crowd there. You really want the crowd. I mean, they could have done it differently. It is what it is, but, you hear someone speak and then you hear clap, oh, we love you. Well, we know it's fake. I mean, I'm sure the people at home watching and on the screens and that you can see them clapping, but you can't hear them. So it's just a little disingenuous, and it bummed me out a little, but I still enjoyed it. Everyone in there, I believe, deserved their spot in the Hall of Fame, especially one Titus O'Neil. He deserves something. He's been with that company so long. He's great outside of the ring. I wish he could wrestle more. I did get on him the last match he had against Lashley. It just seemed like he'd been on the bench so long that not so good, and of course he's been the butt of a few jokes. We all know what the joke is, or the mistake he made. But really good to see that he's being honored with something. And this Warrior Award is great, and he continues to do good work. I love that. But hopefully next year we'll have crowds. We won't need these freaking crowd noises anymore. Even Impact started using them because they got no crowd. I ain't got no crowd, nobody. All right, and the last thing I want to rant about, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle feud. Now, when I watched last week's AEW with God, I'm losing my words here. What a podcaster I am. First YouTube episode going great. With the exception, I found it. With the exception of a couple of things, I actually really enjoyed the whole Dynamite. I said, aside from a couple of things, I didn't really have much to bitch about. And one of the big things was the Inner Circle getting their revenge on the new Pinnacle. But then the more I sat on it, actually, I'll just come out and say it. I was listening to Jim Cornette. His podcast. A little small thing. Love you, Corny. I actually agreed with him that where do you go from here? So the Pinnacle is born. They beat down the Inner Circle. And they should have just waited. Till the next pay-per-view. And then I'm like, yeah, they should have, because, okay, Inner Circle got their heat back. They're good guys now. Everything's settled. But of course, this week they're going to battle, and they're building up for Blood and Guts, which was supposed to happen last year. At the start of this, what's going on? That thing. The thing where we got to stay, the thing. With different people, of course. We didn't get that. We're going to get it now. But yeah, I mean, they should have built these two groups more. I mean, the Pinnacle just happened. And there's a lot of good players in there. But, okay, now we're just going to see them fight back and forth, every week until Blood and Guts. There should have been more to build. One thing I want to rant about, another thing I want to rant about, not just one. What am I thinking? Another thing I want to rant about is Jericho, who, of course, great on the mic. It's Chris Jericho, baby, not baby, baby. Great on the mic, comes up with great catchphrases, but my God, Chris, did you not hear yourself? Him insulting MJF, called him his jerk-off friend. At first, I thought this was a flub. He would move on, call him something different, but no. Multiple times he kept referring to him as the jerk-off friend. Now, I have a dirty mind, and I could just be taking it the wrong way, like, man, get your head out of the gutter. But I'm pretty damn sure I'm not the only one who went, dude, let's rephrase that. Use something different, because I don't think what you're saying is coming across how you want to say it. Oh, God, Chris. I mean, it's entertaining, but he just kept going. Man. But they were really good friends. And now, after his whole speech, later on, of course, them, Inner Circle and the Pinnacle, get into it. And who comes out to save the day at the very end? Mike Tyson. The same Mike Tyson who just 6 months ago wanted to beat the hell out of Chris Jericho, but now all of a sudden wants to save him, and, oh yeah, we're good now. We're cool. Heck, I'll give it to him, he threw some good punches. Some. I'm sure some of you saw the other ones. As much as people may love Mike Tyson, and he's a household name, well, to most, still very green in the world of professional wrestling. But yes, say it again. Great wrestling week. We still got more to go. Hell, I still have more to watch. Just got done with NXT UK Prelude. Really good. Now I have to watch NXT Night 2 on lovely Peacock. That's another rant for another day. Of course. But I, Mr. Awesome RC Gade from Squared Circle Rants, want to wish you guys a great weekend. Enjoy all the wrestling. If you like this video, of course, like, share, subscribe. If you don't like looking at me, I get it. I understand that. Listen to the podcast. You can find us on most podcast stations. I know that was a weird way to say that. But Spotify and the like. Give us a like there. Share it all over. And if you just want to talk about wrestling, bitch about wrestling, laugh at stuff, join us over on our Facebook page, name the same, Squirt Circle Rants. Alright, I am out of here to go finish the wrestling and probably have a beer. Alright, this is Mr. Awesome. Love you.